collar is popped for some reason. Okay, it only looks semi-ridiculous. Okay, here we go. Hello, my name is Sarah. This is my channel, Novel Serendipity, and we are going to do my top 5 wish list items. So a lot of friends have actually been asking me, hey, I need your wish list. Hey, when are you moving? Because I need to make sure you get your Christmas list on time. My mom has also been asking for it. So this video is more of me wanting to like document kind of like what I wanted this year, like my top 5 things that I wanted this year. I don't need gifts whatsoever. I'm only taking a certain amount of books to Japan with me, so like no pressure. My biggest thing that I actually need this year is money, but a lot of people don't like that. But I'm moving to Japan and money is what I need. But that's another story for another day. So these are the top 5 books that I want this year and would maybe take with me to Japan, but either way, I want to own them, whether or not they are taken with me or not. They could just wait for me in my return to the United States, but let's get right into it. The first book that I really want this year, or like semi soon, is From Blood and Ash. I will put it up here, and it's by Jennifer Armentrout, if I'm saying that correctly. Sorry if I'm not. I try not to know too much before going into any book, so these are going to be really brief synopses and may or may not be correct, so bear with me. Okay, so this book follows a girl whose name is Poppy, and she is basically destined to bring in a new era of some kind. Her future in life has never been her own. Apparently, she lives her life where she's not allowed to be touched, she's not allowed to be looked at, she's not allowed to be talked to, something like that. So she's living her life in basically solitary confinement, it seems like, if like no one's even allowed to look at her. And she is some sort of maiden, and she is basically living her life at the beginning of the book, just waiting for her ascension, whatever that means. Don't know what it means. I don't want to know what it means until I go into the book. But apparently there is some sort of guard whose name is, I think, Hawk. It was giving me very Yona of the Dawn kind of vibes, but this is a new or adult high fantasy, so it's not going to be for children, but there's just something about his name, I think, that I was like, oh, okay. And he's a guard. He's supposed to protect her. Perfect. I don't know. Are they a romance? I don't have any idea. But it sounds like she's willing to kind of fight back, get kind of the freedoms that she thinks she deserves and probably does deserve. And then he is just there to protect her. And I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of conflict of interest, because he's like, you need to make it to your ascension day. And she's like, let's just go out and fight people. So I'm not sure how that's going to play in. This synopsis is probably really bad, but here's book 1. The next book is probably to Jade's greatest pleasure, The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. You know what I know about this book? Nothing. You know what I know about this book? The fact that Jade's always like,
hey, this is an adult high fantasy and it's pretty gruesome.
I am on like a little synopsis of the book, because let's just skim it real quick. Game of Thrones meets Gladiator. Okay. Eternal War. I'm assuming that's where the blood, gore, and death comes in. Hope there's a lot of on-page stabbing. That was one of my complaints of one of my recent reads that I really liked. Okay, I really liked it, but there wasn't enough on-page stabbing. Apparently, there is some sort of group of people who have been fighting an unwinnable war for almost 200 years, or over 200 years. A long time. That's all you really need to know. And of these people that have been trying to fight for, you know, their lives and survival and so on and so forth, some of them are born with gifts. I'm assuming that plays a huge part in this book and a huge part in the war. I'm just really excited to kind of go into this knowing relatively nothing about it, because it seems like such a ride. Like, I'm also assuming there's dragons. That might be an assumption. Rage of Dragons. Maybe the gifted people have dragons. I don't know. I'm just here for the stabbing. The next 2 books are actually, I'm kind of like putting them together. So it is books 2 and 3 of the Poppy War trilogy. I haven't read the Poppy War yet, but I own it. So if you guys want to like buy me books, which I'm not saying please buy me books, I'm just saying if you do, don't buy me the Poppy War, because I own it in hardback. So now I need the next 2 in hardback. And that is The Dragon Republic and The Burning God. And I have the Poppy War right here. So actually, I know that this book is a adult high fantasy novel inspired by the Massacre of Nanking, and I actually have an really deep understanding of that massacre, and it's just strange because I wrote an entire thesis paper on it for my undergrad. Actually, it was a huge project in my, like, I think second to last semester. It was a very important paper, a very important class where, like, you didn't pass that class, you weren't really going on. So here it is. But like a high fantasy novel inspired by, I've read quite a few books that are inspired by historical events, but I've never read a book where I know so much about that historical event before going into the book. And I think it'd just be really fun to do so. And what I know about this book is it follows Rin, Yes, Rin, a peasant, a student, a soldier. She is a goddess. Don't know what that means. But apparently she tests to find that she is one of the most talented youth to study at some sort of academic place. I'm assuming it's somewhere where she can hone her skills. She is a war orphan. She passed without cheating. That must be a pretty big part of this test, because the fact that it's in the synopses, I guess. It looks like she might be used by her guardians, who always thought they would be able to marry Rin off to further their criminal enterprise, and to Rin herself, who realized she was now finally free of the servitude and despair that had made up her daily existence. That she got into Senegard, the most elite military school in the Nikara Empire, was even more surprising. But surprises aren't always good. All I want to know, that's all I want to know. She goes into some sort of military academy. She has probably powers or some sort of skill. It's supposed to be an adult high fantasy. I heard there's probably a lot of on-page stabbing in this book as well, so give me the on-page stabbing. So yes, I really want books 2 and 3, because I know that when I pick up that, it's going to be probably a 5-star read for me, and I'm going to want books 2 and 3 immediately. So they are on my wish list. The next book is Soul Swift by Megan Bannon. This one is also an epic, dark, high fantasy. I don't know if it's adult or young adult, not sure. But it follows a girl who is some sort of vessel. And I think it's a girl who has some sort of power through voice or through song. And I think maybe hones these skills from the gods or a god through song. So she is basically given powers, and she can wield these powers through song. She's kind of kept separate from the rest of the vessels of her religion, and so she is kind of sequestered, living a solitary life. Again, that seems to be one of the main true things of women of power. They are kept separate from everyone else. And in this religion, I think all of the vessels and everyone of this religion knows that some sort of demon in the past has been either captured or killed or put away, and it is some sort of really big part of their history. And I think she stumbles across some sort of cover-up where she realizes that the history she's known and the history that she was taught, especially for her religion, isn't what it seems at all. And there's just something about when I was reading a little bit about this book that really just kind of spoke to me. I was like, I kind of want this book. So I put it on my wish list. I don't know. I've recently been into books with a semi-religion aspect. The first one I can think of is actually Wicked Saints. I mean, that has a pretty big religion aspect of the book and kind of how it plays a part in their magic. So I'm kind of wanting to maybe branch into others where religion, real or fictional, is a big part of the storyline. And the last book is actually Raybearer by Jordan E. Hueco, and this one is a YA epic high fantasy or epic fantasy. I think it's supposed to be relatively dark. I am not sure. And I'm only going to read the first 2 sentences of the synopsis on Amazon because my Goodreads app wasn't working on my Kindle for some reason. I don't know. But it's actually the first 2 sentences of, I think, a different synopsis that I read. I was like, I don't want to know any more. I want to go into this another book where I want to go into it not knowing a lot about it. Like almost nothing. I don't want to know anything about it. I really like reading my books and just kind of experiencing as I go. But the first 2 sentences is, nothing is more important than loyalty. But what if you're sworn to protect the one you were born to destroy? And I was like, is this going to be like an enemies to lovers thing? That would be pretty cool. I know that it has just a lot of culture and character development. I know people just fall in love with the characters in this book, and I am a very character driven reader, and so I'm just really excited to get to it. And some of my favorite booktubers have actually read this book and have fallen absolutely in love with it. So I'm like, I need this book because it sounds, the 2 sentences I read, right up my alley. And then the only other thing that I remember about this book is that it's another, I think, female who has been raised again in solitary confinement. I think she's been isolated from everyone, family, her people, and I'm assuming at some point she's had enough. And I'm like, I am so here for this. So here we are. That is my last book. If you do want to gift me anything, because so many people have been asking me, I will link that Amazon wish list down below. You don't have to. This Christmas is going to be very different for me because I'm leaving on January 6th, and I obviously can't take 4 entire bookshelves of books with me to Japan, even if I wanted to. So yes, it's a very different time. If you want to gift me, if you're like, it's either books or I'm gonna harass you some more, I would take money, like Venmo or PayPal me money. Though again, I don't need it, but some of my friends on here have been really pressuring me for like a wish list and like, what do you need? What do you want? I'm like, I'm a huge gifter. Gifting is my love language. It's one of my love languages. It's one of my main love languages. I love gifting. And so it almost hurts me as much as it hurts you, the people that love me, that I need money. I need money. That's all I actually need. But I will include my Amazon wish list because just because I'm going to Japan doesn't mean I'm going to stop collecting books. But just, I guess, know that I might not get to your book for like a year if you buy me one. Though I have gotten books for Christmas the past year or two, as I've been on Booktube, that are still sitting on my shelves unread because almost 90% of my books are unread. But that's a story for another day. And yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. A lot of these books were relatively popular, so if you have any thoughts, concerns, comments about any of these books, please let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you guys all next time. So like, comment, subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys all next time. All love. Bye.